The following conversation is with Parker Hallberg. Parker and I are both in an entrepreneur group, and we know each other through a friend. We've spoken before, but only in a group setting, never one-on-one. This podcast episode was a little different than some of the other ones I've done, because in the past I've gone out of my way to find podcast guests. But this time I brought it up in my group that I wanted to do more podcasts, and Parker volunteered to join, so it kind of came about naturally. I didn't go into the podcast episode with too many expectations. I'd never talked with Parker one-on-one before, but it ended up being one of the most interesting conversations I've had yet on this channel. Parker and I talked about art, intention, flow state. I got to know him on a deep level. The core question of this podcast is, what are your core values in the context of your life story? And though I never asked Parker directly, what are your core values, I feel like they came through for me in a very genuine way, just through his life stories and through understanding what's important to him in his work, his art, and his business. Again, I really enjoyed this conversation. If you're seeing this, Parker, thank you very much. And I hope anyone else who is watching enjoys this conversation as much as I did. All right, Parker, welcome to the JCS show. We've met a few times through a friend, so we kind of know each other, but I always lay out the context when I start these podcast episodes. So we're both interested in business. We're both on our health and fitness journeys. I'm sure those will come up. And we've know each other through a friend. We've met through group calls. We're in an entrepreneur group together. But this is the first time we've spoken one-on-one. So this will kind of be a process of getting to know each other. And I hope this will be the kind of call we can look back on in time, and it'll be like a time capsule of where we're at right now in our respective lives, where we're at in our goal progress, something to, a checkpoint for the future. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to get out of this call. And so thanks for coming on. Appreciate having you.
For sure. Yeah. I think it'd be cool to do this a few different times, a few times a year, or check in a year from now or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I really like doing these podcasts. So I'm down, and we've got other guys in the group. I'd like to have everyone on and just keep it a recurring thing. Get more comfortable as a podcast host myself, and then draw out all the interesting tidbits you guys are working on and learn with you guys and from you guys as you progress in your individual pursuits. But anyways, so you're located in Oregon, right?
Yep. Yeah, I live in Eugene. Lived here since 2019.
Okay.
I grew up in the Madison area in Stoughton, Wisconsin, which you maybe hear me talk to Hayden about all time to time. So Sammy, who's also in the group, he's from there as well. So we all kicked it in high school. Hayden, which, by the way, do you call him James or Peyton?
I call him James. I met him in a professional setting, and so I at some point I learned people call him Peyton.
The guy changed his name.
Yeah.
I grew up Peyton. I knew. So James is his first name. Peyton's his middle name. Obviously, don't want to say this. Knows who he is, but he's like my best friend growing up. I grew up down the road from him, Vanilla Street, and I was like 4 houses down. And he moved into, I think they moved from Ohio or something like that when I was in 3rd grade. And I think the first night I met him, I'd move a truck outside and everything. Went up there, curious kid, talked to the family. And I think that night I stayed over at their place, and was we were best friends ever since. So
that's pretty
really cool. Yeah. His family calls him Peyton. They've always called him Peyton.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's gone to I understand now, people close to him call him Peyton, but I've called him James for so long. I feel awkward making the switch. Or it just doesn't occur to me in the moment,
I think I have his other name, but so eventually he moved to Houston, and I think we were in our early 20s or something. He's got a person moved away, the two of us, and someone I think called him Grant. And he just let that happen too. So they're I was at Houston, so people called him Grant. So I think he just whatever works for him, I guess. But
yeah, that's funny.
That's where I grew up. I stayed in the Madison area until I was about 28, 2019, and I was dating my now wife there. We met there. she was doing her postdoc, which is kind of like if you get your PhD, it's like something you do afterwards, like a 1-year program at a university to do research. So she was doing that in Madison. I was there for a couple of years, and I met her. She got a job out at the university here in Eugene, and so I met her with her.
Cool.
I've loved it, man.
Yeah, I've been down there a few times. It's a cool place. Are you into the outdoor stuff there? I know it's got a reputation for being a big town for hikers, trail runners, mountain bikers.
Yeah, I think it's it's not like the town itself. There's there's like trails and parks and stuff like that, which is cool. But every town probably has that, if you look for it. But it's just like its proximity. It's so nice. Like yesterday, went skiing, and it was like I just like on Friday night decided, I think I'll go skiing tomorrow, and just like it's an hour drive, just by myself. So it's just like you can kind of like really easily make a decision. Like, oh, I'm going to go to the coast. Let's just do it. It doesn't have to be like a big planned thing. Like some people are like from the Midwest, like taking the whole family out on a road trip just to get to the coast. And living here, you can just be like, oh, I'm just going to go.
Yeah. It's the same kind of thing out here, and I love it. I was from kind of near. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, so kind of near the coast, but like to get to the ocean, it was like a whole thing, like you could go for a day, but you didn't, you'd go for at least a weekend or a week, or it was a whole event. And same thing to get to the trails. The Appalachian Mountains were kind of the only real trails in the area, and it was the same thing. It was 90-minute drive, hour and a half, 2 hours to get to the really good ones. So it was, it wasn't just like a convenient, like on a whim, let's go. It was sort of like planning in advance and all that.
Yeah, probably harder to find people too that, you get to like almost instead of like, hey, are you down tomorrow? You have to like educate like, oh, this is how.
Yeah, exactly.
How like these things. You have to like first teach them like, oh, this is what outdoor, this is what can reach you, and then our also.
Yeah, exactly. And just being in the area, the culture is it's ingrained, like we were saying. It's everyone has the gear, everyone's got the hiking boots, everyone's got the snowshoes. It's not like, oh, like let's go rent a bunch of stuff and go for the day. It's all right, grab your stuff from your garage, I'll grab my stuff from my garage, and I'll meet you out there. So I know that you have a candle making business, and I want to touch on that, but hey, what do you do for work, and then what do you do for fun? Like so it's kind of, you got your entrepreneurship, your day job, and then your fun. How do you spend your time?
Yeah, so the day job was really a job that I got out of college. Supposed to be like stepping stone. I just worked for a couple of years, and it's like, here I am, still there. But I don't want to make it sound negative. I love the company I work for. Super, super fortunate. I know a bunch of people that work there. I knew some people before, so like I kind of had friends already working there. My one friend, his dad is the VP of software there, and I've known him since I was like a little kid. So there's kind of like this family thing kind of going on. Like I knew these people, especially moving away. Like it's so cool to have that connection still. Like if I didn't, I think working remote would be pretty tough because it would just seem like everyone is just like this virtual entity that doesn't really exist, But like with this company, I go back and like I see people, I know that, and it feels real, and I feel taken care of. Like there's a real connection. I started as an implementation specialist, which was really cool. Like I traveled 2 to 3 weeks out of every month for like a couple of years, all around the U.S. And just like a lot of times by myself, which was just a really like kind of expanding part of my life. And so that part I loved, and then eventually became a project manager, and that's what I do now. So
cool.
Yeah, I've been a project manager since 2021. So it's been like 3 full years now. It's kind of crazy. But,
yeah.
And I ended up training, and I just knew like our products very well, and I knew how our projects work. So I just kind of, just like my proprietary knowledge got me that job that now I have a lot of pride in and enjoy a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's cool
Yeah.
how things like that just develop naturally. Touching on that travel, like when you were traveling, what were those travels like? Were you, I'm guessing, flying to big cities around the country, and then would they rent you a car and stuff like that? Like, was it all company stuff, or did you kind of get to go out on your own and feel out those cities for yourself?
Definitely both. Like everything was taken care of, which was cool. So like I got to travel on their dollar, and I'd fly in one day, do whatever I needed to do for the week, and fly back Friday. Sometimes I'd stay a little later. There were some times I actually like if I knew someone, I'd like stay with them again, and so I kind of extend a trip. Like I did that with Peyton a couple times actually in Texas. It was cool too because in the like coursework project, you might go there multiple weeks, so it's not like you're just showing up and you just get like a snapshot, quick trip, or snapshot of like the city. You might go there 3 or 4 weeks, and so either in a row or maybe like 2 weeks, and then you come back and go like at the end of the project. So you start to kind of like know, like, oh, I know St. Louis, I know New York City a little bit, like I know Houston. You start to kind of feel like a local a little bit, like just in the sense that I always felt that way because I'm working, not there vacationing. So it'd be like, just get up and go to anyone else in the city, and then afterwards we go out to dinner and like get a beer or whatever, and just kind of like meet people.
Yeah,
that was, I guess, maybe that was like the approach that I always tried to take, was just be a local here for a week.
And then are there certain things you would do consistently? Like, would you go find the best burger in town every place, or go see live music, or go check out the party scene, or did you just kind of deal with it on a case-by-case basis?
Yeah, it depended like what kind of phase I was in, but I, for the most part, would always do a yoga studio at every city I've been to, or I'd find a gym. Cool. The gym sometimes, the hotel's got a gym. I'll just do that, whatever. But yeah, the yoga studio was big for me. I remember doing that for like 2 or 3 years. I'd always try to find a yoga studio. I still do that. Like that kind of ingrained in me. Like even if I'm just traveling for pleasure, I'll do that and find a yoga studio and sit. Because you like get like, what a better way to like get in touch kind of locally,
Yeah,
that's what everyone's doing that lives there. And I don't know, I just like that stuff. Just even like looking at like the bulletin board, what's going on in that town, just like seeing what people are kind of buzzing about. That was kind of what I did. It was cool to be like in San Francisco doing that. I don't know, every city kind of had its own flavor of studios and stuff.
Yeah, I've always done that. I like to travel, especially internationally, but I've always done that with gym memberships. I'll just get a 1-week pass to the local gym, and I always try to go at the same time every day, since a lot of people go to the gym, have their routine. So if you meet, if you look a little different than everyone else, and then B, if you see someone 2 or 3 times in a week, just kind of end up chatting. But I've made friends just in all random places, but it's cool. I like doing that. It's a good way to, I don't know. It's like a locals thing to do. So it's when you go as a non-local, you stand out. People come up to you. I don't know.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I did have like an Anytime Fitness membership for the longest time. So I did do a work trip in New Zealand, which was really cool. And I was there for 3 weeks straight, and that was just like by myself. I thought like New Zealand would be this totally different area of the world, and I would be like I would be a different person when I get there or something. But of course, I'm not. The same person, just in a different place. I guess culturally, it's still pretty much the same, which that also kind of helped. But yeah, I was just like going to work, and then they have Anytime Fitness there, so just like normal life, I would just like go to work, get back, like go to the hotel, go to Anytime Fitness, but I'm just in New Zealand. It's kind of a trip to like, be living like a normal. Like I think we talk about like a dialed in routine. and it's weird to be like across the world and then just still have like your dialed in routine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a line in Fight Club. It's right at the beginning of the movie, but it's the narrator, Ed Norton. And I'm going to butcher the exact words, but it's something like, if you wake up in a different place, surrounded by different people, are you a different person? That kind of thing.
Yeah. I think I kind of, like when Ed Norton's like at the beginning of the movie, and he's just sort of like monotonously moving through life.
Yeah.
I felt that way a little bit, honestly. I actually got like a little depressed there for a little while. And I think that there was an element of that. I'm like, what? God, it's like I could be anywhere and still just like fall into your patterns and whatever crap you got going on in your head. It's not going to go away just because you're in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
It's still there.
Yeah.
You take it with you,
Do you think that kind of crap in your head, as you call it, is alleviated when you stay in the same place? Or do you think it's always there? Do you think just traveling makes it more apparent, or do you think traveling brings it out more?
You maybe just notice it because I think we all like have this idea of I'm just going to spend the rest of my days on the beach drinking margaritas, or I'm going to take that vacation that I really want, or God, I can't wait to like go to Italy with my family. Then everything will be perfect. And then I'll be happy. And I think it becomes apparent on vacations or on trips because you get to Italy and you get off the plane and maybe you go get some pasta or something. And then you end up walking around and you just go, fuck, I'm the same person.
Yeah.
Just exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
The place isn't going to change you. So I think it really doesn't matter where you are. Like you could be, like I'm saying, you could be unhappy in Italy or unhappy in Oregon. And if that's just what you got going on, that's just what you got going on.
Yeah, I've felt the same thing a lot. I traveled a lot, especially when I was younger, and a lot solo. And I've had the same kind of thoughts, like different backdrop, different associations, but same sort of like general sense of being. And there is some novelty at first, like you get to a new place and, you go, you order some food that you've never had before. You go see some street performers doing some tricks you've never seen before in the park or whatever. Hear some different languages, but then you go home and sleep in bed at night, turn the lights off, and you're like, it's same thing. It's other side of the world, same thing.
Yeah. So I think there's just a lot of value in clearing the clouds yourself, doing your own inner work, because it really doesn't matter what you change externally. That's still going to be there. So, and I'm not saying everyone has to be like this. Like if you are truly happy and at ease, then you're probably going to love traveling.
Yeah.
You're going to like I think about space a lot, like having space inside yourself for new experiences. And I think if you have a lot of things going on that you're thinking about, you're all up here, you just have no space for those new experiences to come in, kind of wash over you. Like you're already full up. You already kind of got enough going on in your head that like you're going to look at those street performers and just not really be able to take it in as much as maybe if you had kind of done that inner work and you're in a good space.
Yeah, I totally agree. Traveling it makes it obvious. If you've always wake up in the same place and do the same routine, like you might feel the same, but you can blame it on your place. But when you move a lot, when you travel a lot, then you kind of realize that, it's a me thing. It's not a place-based thing. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So yeah, that kind of covers your work. Tell me about the candles. I know a little bit about your candle business, but just for anyone who's watching, explain what you're doing with the candle making business, how you started it, kind of what your vision is for it.
Yeah. So the company called Flow State Candle Company. So right now I'm making scented candles. They're hand-poured wax candles. I get everything pretty much from one supplier right now. That is the supplier I started with here. So still kind of just starting out. the goal for the candle is just to create a really high quality candle that smells great, people love. That's kind of like the fundamental part. Like I want it to be high quality. And then kind of the twist is what I call it. It's like an intention candle. So on the back of every candle, there's an intention that you can read. And so the idea is that before you light it, you read that intention. The one that's really popular is the cleanse candle. That's the one that everyone seems to like. I mean, I think it smells really good, so that could be why. But also the intention of the back is really nice. It's just stating kind of like, um, for lighting this, think about cleansing your space. Think about getting rid of any negative energy. Let the candle do the work. So like, try to put the power into the candle and let it cleanse your space for you. And the idea would be to do this before people come over, or maybe you want to do this before you're working out something or a project, or you're writing, or maybe you work from home, you're frustrated at your job, you could light that. So yeah, that's kind of like the little twist on it. I really want to make other scents. I started with 3, and I think one of them's really good, and so I might switch up the other 2 and just kind of like continue to do that. Like maybe start with a few, and whatever one's most popular, have that be like in the realm of what I make on like a recurring basis. End up with like 3 or 4 really, really, really good scents that people like. And then I also want to make other products. So maybe incense, Palo Santo sticks, things like that, all kind of in that space of kind of new age, kind of, I don't know, hippie woo woo stuff, but like I want to take that category and bring it to just normal demographics. Maybe people that would normally do incense or normally do Palo Santo sticks, or even like scent candles. Like, so just kind of try to like bring that new age, those new age products that have been here for hundreds of thousands of years, and just put like a more modern twist on it. Yeah.
Have you always been into candles? Like, have you always been, like you're saying, not everyone likes candles and incense and that kind of thing. Were you in that everyone bucket, or have you always kind of been particular about those kinds of things? The woo woo.
I mean, I've always like creating art, and I always like creating something that I could give to someone and feel pride about. I mean, that was when I was a kid, even just like running over to my dad with just even like a doodle on a piece of paper, and I'm just expecting him to be like, "Oh my God, look at this, it's Picasso." In my head, I just thought I was always going to get this reassurance, and sometimes I did. Sometimes people did like my art. It wasn't something I didn't ever pursue professionally, but yeah, that side of me has always been there. And so I'm just trying to embrace that. And I guess I was just kind of looking for a medium of, that I could do that with, that would be very practical. And, every day in my office, I light a candle in the morning, or I would do an incense, or I would do the Palo Santo 6. Like I was just doing all that anyway. And so I was like, man, I bet I could probably just kind of do this on my own and do it really well and embrace it. So
cool. And then
like yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, how do you come up with the intentions? Like, are those intentions that you've set for yourself, like the cleanse, and all that, or are they intentions that you think you see people needing to, having those sort of voids that they could take a second to focus on cleansing? Where do you come up with that, and where do you come up with the phrasing that you put on the back? How much, like, what's your process like for that as an artist?
So the phrasing on the back, I just looked online, just researched. I didn't just copy, something I found, but I found like 5 or 6 that I really liked, or, and I was actually looking at like Irish prayers and like things on maybe other like intention-based products. And so it was kind of like I think like if I was searching for like prayers, I kind of found the most inspiration. And then I just kind of combined it and worded it in a way that I think feels really good to me. That may be what I think people might need. But I do, honestly, I kind of battle with the whole intention thing because, I think what I really want for myself, what I really want for people is to not be that. Like, if it's kind of like I have one let's see if I have the candle with me. It's called Prosper. And the back of the intention is like, I will attract wealth and good things will come to me, And anytime I think that like you're saying I will attract wealth or I will manifest this or whatever, that's basically you're expressing a lack of that. You're expressing the fact that you desire, like anytime you desire something, you're expressing the fact that you don't have it. And I think like where real prospering comes from is just knowing deep down that you have it, right? Knowing that you're wealthy, knowing that you're valuable, that you're loved. I think you get into kind of a weird place when you're asking for it so much. Like I think it's almost counterintuitive. So I don't know if that makes sense, but like, so I do kind of like battle with the attention stuff actually, even though that's the whole basis around the candles. So I don't know. I might reword them a little bit so that it isn't so reassuring. So I think people could be better off maybe not reassuring themselves so much through like words and intentions and more just feeling it.
Yeah. So like shifting more towards like enhancing a positive rather than filling a negative, a void, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think maybe like the goal could be to just, because I think overall my goal was just be like, just take a pause for a second. So maybe I could switch it to like gratitude or something. Maybe that's a better pause and kind of a statement to make. It's just like, I'm grateful for everything I have. Grateful for this space that I have. I'm grateful for how cleansed the space is already. Instead of saying, please, candle, cleanse my space, get rid of all this negative energy. Please give me this. Please give me that.
Yeah, I like that. I think being grateful is kind of like, in some ways, it's like a final step in any type of progression. It's like if you're at the point where you're grateful and like really emulating that, like that's where you want to be. Like you don't need to go beyond that, really.
Yeah. Or is it the first step?
Might be both. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think it could be. I think if you're, I think you can take that route. I think you can just be grateful for your wealth already, and then kind of have that mind state while you're growing, and like for fitness, like being grateful for how you look in the mirror, being grateful for what you can lift or how far you can run and grow with that mind state.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Honestly, I'll definitely be reflecting on that.
Yeah.
So what are the role of intentions in your life? Like, do you set intentions personally, or have you in the past?
I think they're huge. Like that's one of the positives to it is because I think you'll be surprised when they come true. And I think they often do. And I think the coolest way, the way the universe works, is that it does it in a way that you can't really see. Maybe you can't really predict. I think that's kind of the other where we get in trouble too with like manifestation and like, I don't know, the stuff like The Secret, or where it's like you need to see it, smell it, be so detail oriented and like vision boards, and you're gonna like put a Lamborghini on your wall or whatever. And everything's so detailed, and it's like, I think that's great, but like you're gonna ask for a Lamborghini, and the world's gonna give you a Volkswagen GTI. Like that, it's just you're gonna get a nice car, but it's gonna be different though. It's not gonna be exactly the way you predict it. And So I think intentions are best used in that way, where you're just like maybe keeping it open-ended. Using the car example, I want a cool car that I'm proud to drive around, and let the universe do its magic and give you, maybe you get a Ferrari, maybe you get, maybe you work hard to get that stuff, but um, I think you'll always get what you're asking for, just in a way you can't really predict. Uh, I think also when you said like, how do I use it in real life? Like yoga, it's a really cool, like a lot of times yoga classes will invite you to set an intention for the class. So it might just be like to feel more grounded, to have more gratitude. And anytime I do that, like 75% like done with the class, I'll have a thought that like totally gets me there. I'll completely forget about my intention. And then all of a sudden I'll have this feeling like it'll just come through of gratitude, or I'll think of someone, or like it always seems to come true. I always seem to end the class with the intention that I set. So I feel like it's almost like it's out of your control. You can't like will it all yourself. I think intentions are nice because you can just say, you can kind of do your part. Like, like you've seen like Da Vinci, what's that painting with like God, Da Vinci, and
Yeah.
God's pointing down or whatever, it's not our Jesus or God or whatever. Like you setting your intention is you just going like this, like, let me just put my finger out. And then I'll see if I can do this with the camera. And then God does this, or the universe does that. And you need to let that happen. Right. So I think like, yeah, again, intention is just like extending that piece of yourself out there.
Part of what I'm hearing from you is that it like kind of setting an intention at the beginning of something, but whatever it is, yoga class or the beginning of your day. We're doing an entrepreneur group on 12-week goals. So beginning of the 12 weeks, whatever the period is, kind of gives you some power of recognition for that intention coming to fruition, which maybe you'd get that Volkswagen GTI regardless. But if you never set the intention to get a cool car in the beginning, you wouldn't recognize and appreciate it the same way.
Yeah. If anything, it just makes it feel cooler anyway. I mean, maybe life is all chance. Maybe it's all just complete random chance. But at least, like, even if you do set an intention that does come true, it makes you feel pretty good. It makes you feel like there's a story. There's something happening here that gives your life a narrative, and that feels good, I think, just as a human.
Yeah, we're really wired as humans, I truly believe, to understand the world through narrative, through stories. And so I think even if it is chaos, like having some sort of structure to a narrative, it just really helps kind of compartmentalize, and it helps make things make sense. It helps kind of give a signal in the noise of the universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We want we want it all wrapped up and with a bow on it. We want the story. I think that can hurt us too. Like, especially when we look at our past, right? I think we like wrap up our past in a nice little bow, and it's trauma or whatever happened, or this embarrassing time that happened to you. Like, you build that narrative around it. Like, this happened. This was the reaction around me. This is how it made me feel. This is how it's affected me for the rest of my life. And this is how it will affect me for the rest of my life. And that can hurt us too, right? Because you're just going to carry that narrative around forever. So maybe there's also some times where you need to allow it to just exist without the story. And I think, like you said, humans want that though. So it's hard. It's difficult to do, to just let things exist without any reaction or like judgment to it.
Yeah. That's another one I'll be thinking about later for sure. Cool. And then in a dream world, where do you go with the candle business? Like, would you like to be the candle guy, or is this just a way that like a fulfilling way to spend some time and provide value for people who like that kind of stuff?
I think right now it is just a fulfilling way to spend time. Um, I'd love to earn more money from it. And if it was super profitable, like that'd be great. I think I could sell them well or sell products like this well. So if I just had a huge inventory and it was all really great profit margins, that'd be awesome. I think I'd love to be able to just like, quit my job and just do that, like just selling everything. But right now, like I said, yeah, it's just a fulfilling way to spend, some of my free time. And um, I think for a goal, I probably would just like to expand maybe what I do. So it's not just candles. So maybe your question, it's like, yeah, maybe I don't really want to be the candle guy, but I'd like to still create things that people are getting and are excited about. And yeah, just like having pride in things that I create. So at the end of the day, that's probably all I really want.
Is Earlier you mentioned that this is kind of an artistic outlet for you. Is that what art is to you? Like having pride in something you create? Um, I've The reason I'm asking is I don't know. I never considered myself an artist when I was younger. I was always more into like math and science and like things that were predictable and things that I could like understand completely. And then as I've gotten older, I've identified more and more as an artist. And then at some point I started asking like, what is art? Like where is the line between like art, which is kind of undefined, and then science or math, which is, more structural, more defined. But
Yeah.
I don't know, is that something you've thought about? Like how is candle making art? Like what would be, is there a world in which like it's just business? You're just like putting X amount of materials into boxes and shipping them out for X amount of profit. Like, so where does, yeah, where for you is the line of art?
Yeah. Well, I think just the business thing at the end there, I think that is the challenge for me. That is why I need to like probably continue to meet, with our group and to like set goals and try to reach them, because I'll let myself just be the artist and not business person, So that's where I know I usually fall short, is being really disciplined on the business side. Um, so yeah, I got to keep myself accountable with that. Otherwise, yeah, there's not going to be a business. It is just going to be just having fun. And I know I, I do want to still explore the business side of all this. But I think art, like I think it's an awesome question. Um, I just saw something today actually that I shared on Instagram on my story, and it was just like a decision tree. And it was just like on the top, it was make art. And then it was go down and it was like ask someone if they like it. And then it was yes or no. And then at the bottom of either way of yes or no, you just did art. It's like a very simple, like, so in that decision tree though, I think the point of the decision tree was basically saying whether they like it or not, you did art, great, you're an artist. But I think kind of to your question, like, is the element of someone else reviewing it what makes it art, right? Like if you're just like on an island by yourself and you create like a sandcastle, but no one around is there to see it, like, is that art? Is there any value to that? I think a lot of people probably say there would be, because they want to defend the like um, expression, right? So I think there's a big like movement of creating things without other people.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, once it's done, if no one's seeing it, I don't think there's any. I wouldn't call it art. I think art has to interact with other people or other things. I think it has to. I think it has to interact with the world a little bit, or else it's not really art, in my
Have you seen Into the Wild or read the book?
opinion. Yeah, where he goes to Alaska, right?
Yeah, he lives in the bus.
Yeah.
I know.
I've seen the movie. I've seen the movie several times. Love the soundtrack too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Love
great,
it.
great film, great book. But what you're saying is kind of reminding me of. I think it was something he wrote in his notebook. He had a journal out there on the bus, and he just wrote the line. I think it was, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it, but right before he died, where he said, "Happiness is only real when shared," and that's something I've thought about a lot because, yeah, I've kind of gone out on my own in various ways, both physically and spiritually, in my entrepreneurial pursuits, whatever it is, and yeah, I mean, I'll come up with cool things. I'll go see cool places, but like, if it's just me and, different time, different place, does it really count? Like, there's so many memories I have where it's like I didn't share those memories with anyone. I didn't really experience that with anyone. I didn't relate to anyone with that. And same with art. It's like I like to make the videos, but for a while I was making videos just for myself and I wasn't putting them out there. And it got to the point where I'm like, is this like, am I progressing as an artist while making these videos? Like, sure, I'm learning the software, sure. But like, if I'm not sharing it, if I'm not putting it out there, if I'm not even just sending it to my sister to see if, she likes it, like, does it count? Like, did I just make a video or did I just, I don't know, play in my mind? Yeah.
Yeah, you play in your mind. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, dude, think about we all do this. Like, think about everyone's camera roll in their phone with 10,000 pictures. Literally, it's 10,000 pictures. Some people, some of it gets shared, some doesn't. And I just did this too. I was looking through my camera roll and I saw some amazing, amazing photos I took just with my phone on a hike we did a few months ago. And I'm like, this went nowhere. I have not shared this. It's like I got a lot of value from looking at it a little deeper once I looked at it. But again, it was just like, man, even though that was an expression of art, photography, it was valueless because no one interacted with it at the end, yeah, I think we're all doing that. Hopefully not more and more, but maybe we are doing that more and more, just because it is so easy to create.
Mm-hmm.
And more than ever, right? It's probably easier to create in today's day and age than ever before. But yeah, at the end of the day, no one's expressing this to other people. I don't think there's any value there. And to your point too about like the happiness thing, I would get that traveling sometimes too. I think maybe that was part of it when I was in New Zealand too. I didn't really make any connections while I was there, unfortunately. So it was just like, man, I'm seeing this crazy stuff going to these like, national park and stuff like that. It's like, it just felt a little empty because no one else was there to experience it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've said that a lot.
I think, just one more thing on that. Like, I think like the goal is sort of a paradox that you have to like strike. So I think it's like creating the process, you're creating for only yourself, but then you're expressing for others. And same thing with like traveling or like spending time with others, like happiness, right? Like you should have the confidence and like the drive for yourself to do what you want to do, but then invite others to join you in your experience, take them along with it. And then hopefully if you have someone to join you in these experiences, then that's happiness, then that's you're going to experience joy, I think.
Yeah. Something I was thinking about earlier too is, and I'll tie it back into what you're saying here, but you were talking about your yoga classes and how you said most of the way through the yoga. I think you said 75% of the way through the yoga class, the intention that you had set at the beginning, it kind of comes to light. You have some like a sort of eureka moment where a thought comes to you that strikes a balance with the intention you'd set in the beginning. Something unexpected. You've got the element of surprise there. And I was thinking to myself, since I've done yoga, but maybe like 20 times ever, or, less than 30. So it's, for me, I've not had that. And as you were kind of talking, I was reflecting on my own yoga experience, and I was realizing like, oh, like I probably haven't had that because I'm still going through the challenges of figuring out yoga. I'm like too ingrained in like, am I doing the right position? Am I missing something? Like, oh, this is cool. Like, I think I feel what I'm supposed to be feeling. I'm too like stuck in these thoughts rather than just sort of like sitting there with the moment, with the class. And so I think it's kind of two-part. You have to like be doing something that you're good at, like you have to be like, you have to be in your zone, in your flow, the flow state. There you go. But, and then on top of that, you have to be like able to express yourself and share those moments with someone else to really like get that full aha moment, like that eureka, that sort of reconciliation with intentions you've previously set, find the happiness that you've been searching for, find, just sort of that aha moment.
Yeah. I think yoga is kind of a cool activity that, or it's interesting, I guess, in the sense that like, you can, so I think like, and talking about flow state is kind of what got me thinking. So like flow state is reached, as far as I understand, like it's reached when you're like on that perfect edge of like what you can do and still learning like past the edge of what you can't do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I bet you have activity, like for you, like maybe we can get it like running and stuff with you, but like your, goal is to be like a competitive high level runner. And so I don't know if you reach like a flow state with that, maybe at times where, because you're like just pushing on that edge. And I think, it's my understanding that like, if you're doing something too easy, like you're not going to reach it doing like a 5K for you. But if you're also like, all of a sudden I asked you to sign up for like the Moab 2020 or something, that's too far out for you to be like in a flow state too. So go back to yoga. I think yoga is just so like entry level that you can reach that, like, because I think you can learn all the like basic positions relatively quickly, and then kind of you're always sort of reaching out to a point that your body can't quite do. The point, I think, of yoga itself is to be at that edge. So you're just constantly at that edge. So you're working on the position and trying to get it more and more in line every single time you're doing it.
Yeah,
so you're kind of sitting right in that state. Yeah, go ahead.
I've had pretty similar thoughts, and I'm a numbers guy, kind of going back to what I said earlier. But for me, it's like when you're at like 102 or 103% of your previously established skill levels, like it's in the range still of like what you can do, but it's just nudging it up a little bit more. But if you go up to 105, 110% of your ability level, you're going to be met with challenges that you aren't really equipped to overcome. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be anxiety inducing. But like, if it's just right above that level, you're going to be right in that sweet spot where you're like fully open, you're fully engaged. Like you have to be fully focused to get that extra 3% above anything you've ever done before.
Like, do you ever reach it with like, sometimes I'll reach kind of like a flow state with like, I'm just messing around on Canva or like a editing software. I feel like that's almost like the easiest way to get in, because you're like learning the software, but yet you still kind of know what you want to create, and you have enough skills just because you grew up with computers or grew up doing stuff like that. So like, you kind of like, enough to be dangerous, but you're like learning how the software itself works. And so I don't know if you ever experienced that with like editing music or videos, if you just find yourself totally dialed in.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think anytime I'm doing a new software, it kind of depends on the complexity of the software, but like there's a initial learning curve where, it's 10, 15 hours probably of like focused, deliberate practice to get over the hump of like, all right, I know where like the main buttons are. Now I can start to like build my ideas rather than trying to figure out what's on the screen in front of me. And so with all those softwares, and then it just gets more and more fun, like you can still be at that 102% relative to your own skill level. But slowly, like that, like your skill level relative to other people in the field increases over time, and then it just gets more and more exciting.
Especially nowadays, I mean, software is so powerful. So like me and you could use the same editing software. We could both be in the flow state, probably editing something. But I could be a complete beginner. But I'm at my 102%. You're at your 102%. Completely different spaces, completely different skills. But
yeah, exactly.
We could reach that edge.
And that initial investment is getting smaller and smaller. Like the barrier to entry is getting lower and lower. As like this podcast, I'm going to edit it. Like it's all going to be transcripted for me. I'll just read through the transcript, and it's just done for me. It's going back to the 80s. If we were recording this then, it would have been cutting up physical film and taping it together. And
satellites, you had to, I mean, just two like legit. Well, first of all, we'd have to be in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
Like this wouldn't be happening. So you
you'd
have to have like a network deal. I mean, it's just impossible.
Yeah,
pretty much impossible.
So it's cool. All right, so kind of what I brought up at the beginning is I wanted to ask you about your work life, your candle making life, which is kind of in between sort of your work and your personal. But then just getting into your personal, I know you've got a dog, a healer, like mine back there. I think you can see, but So what do you like to do in your free time?
How old is your dog again?
She was born in 2017, so she's she turned 7 in like a month. I always just round my dog's birthdays to the nearest holiday, so she's the St. Patty's Day birthday.
I don't need to know the exact month. Does she always look kind of gray?
Yeah,
I mean the keepers look great, but she looked kind of old in the face when I first saw her.
I know, I get that a lot. She's always been that way. Honestly, when she was younger, I think she was even lighter. She's gotten a little darker over the years.
Because they all kind of end up looking like that at some point.
Yeah.
So she just kind of already started that way. But if you see old healers, they all just sort of have that gray face. Their eyes are kind of popping out of their head. Yeah, they're funny. We got a dog. We got our healer in 2019. So it's pretty soon after we moved to Eugene. Just really wanted a dog. I wanted something I could be active with. So I was looking at like border collies, candle dogs, some pretty dog or something like that. They just popped up on Craigslist, and it was like a litter of 4. And so I went up to Oregon City. It was like a cattle ranch. So I was like, oh man, I'm about to get like a legit working dog here, And there was a couple like trailers parked on the ranch, and this guy walked out with like a storage bin and 4 puppies inside the storage bin. And they're all like scratching and clawing to get out. And I had no idea how to pick puppies either, so I just picked the fattest one I could find. And did you get her when she was a puppy?
Yeah, like 8 weeks or whatever.
They do not make cuter puppy dogs.
No.
Like it's ridiculous. And of course we were like, oh, let's just go check them out. Maybe we'll get her, maybe we'll get them. And that's just like, you can't deny them.
Yeah.
Which are older ones. So, but super ferocious from day one, just out of his mind. We ended up finding out that he was born deaf. So I was kind of in denial for a few weeks, but he just seemed off. Like he'd pass out, and we're like, you walk by him, and he just wouldn't wake up. Normally, like, I'll be like kind of would sense things, like even like pouring food to the bowl, he wouldn't wake up for it. And so, my wife was like, I think there's something going on. Like, he at least has like partial hearing loss or something. And so we took him to the vet. I expected them to do like X-rays or like advanced like testing or something like that. And the vet tech like came by. We told him, what's going on. Not even actual vet, like freaking like nurse that's there first was like came up and was like this behind the ears, and it was just like he's 100%. We're like, what? And then you have all these follow-up questions. Like, I'm telling you, he's dead. Congenital hearing loss, or whatever they call it. I guess it's pretty common in dealers because if they breed them to purebred, they'll have issues. And he was supposedly purebred. So yeah, that's been interesting. I had to teach him sign language. It's worked pretty well, but yeah, he still kind of has his issues. I think they're so confident and independent that it's a little bit tough because I can't really just have them off leash. Just kind of like a safety issue in most places to have them off leash, because I can't recall them. So
yeah,
there's things I've tried, things that worked, like a vibration collar and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's still just kind of a risk. So I usually do like long leads or I keep them on leash. But yeah, I like doing stuff with him and going to the woods and hanging out, and yeah, he's definitely like my best friend out here.
Yeah, same with mine. She's been with me through all the ups and downs. So it's they're cool. I've always had healers. They're super high maintenance as far as dogs go. They just require extra attention, but they usually get a lot out of them. Like they're much more human like than other dogs.
Oh yeah.
Even like the facial expressions. They're just like in tune with what the people are doing all the time. They're always like, what's going on? Am I involved? Can I be involved? I don't know. I really just think they're the best dogs.
Yeah, I think that's like there are more. I think everyone thinks they're gonna like attach their human attributes to their pet, but I really do feel like there's more human attributes with a blue heeler.
Yeah, for sure.
They are. It's just like a bro just hanging out, and like they react to things and they feel. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. But, yeah, I think. Yeah, it means a lot to me. And I think it's crazy to watch him do stuff too. Like we'll go play frisbee, and just to watch like his athleticism just like blows me away sometimes.
Yeah,
I was down at the river with him last weekend. It'd be kind of hard to explain, but he just absolutely shocked us with like this move that he did to get out. Like I let him down to the river, and I was like up on this cliff, and like he clearly could have just gone up the trail that he took to get down there. He like parkoured like 2 logs and jumped up on like this like boulder and then like hopped over onto the cliff that I was standing on. Like I wasn't even asking to do that. He was just like,
yeah,
up there. I was like, me and my wife were both like shocked by it.
Yeah, I'm a movement guy. Like I'm a trainer. That's what I do for work. That's what I do for fun. Like I study movement and I practice movement, but I've ripped so much of her moves off, like just seeing the way she navigates turns on the trails, the way she jumps over things, and like the way she uses her energy efficiently, just to accomplish whatever it is, whether it's chasing a ball, whether it's running down a steep hill, whatever. Yeah, it's there's been times I've been with clients like trying to get them to emulate something I've seen my dog do. I don't tell them like this is what my dog did. I'm like, but this is what you should do. Like think about it this way. Just in my mind, I'm envisioning my dog.
They really are athletes. Like they would be like a perfect like edge rusher.
Yeah.
Football. Like, they use like angles when they're running. They're like they can like go sideways. I'll throw a frisbee too, and like sometimes I'll throw it just like right at an edge of a fence, and he'll be able to like catch it, stop like right on a dime before hitting the fence.
Yeah.
He has like awareness too, like. If I'm in like a field that has a lot of like thorny bushes and stuff, patches of them, I'm really like watching the frisbee in midair and navigating through the patches and then getting to the place where he needs to catch it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just the spatial awareness through the roof.
Yep.
But
I guess you were sitting in like just kind of a general what I do personally.
Yeah. So we got dog time. But yeah, what are your other hobbies? What do you do on the weekends? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. I like to get out. I mean, I like to connect with people. So it really doesn't matter what. But I can't be myself for very long. I'm just not going to like value my time doing that. So, um, how I like to spend the time most is with others. So with my wife, but even beyond that, friends, um, like, and that really is, we can kind of get into that maybe with like the values, but like that is really just the common thread between all of it. Is I need to connect with people. It's so important to me. And what we do does not matter at all. I'll pick up a new hobby. You want to do pickleball? I'll do pickleball.
Mm-hmm.
You want to golf? Suck at golf. I'll golf.
Yeah.
But as long as we're hanging out,
Mm-hmm.
and new people, I like meeting new people. So yeah, that's really what I'm all about. I do a lot of different things, but that's just all in an effort to hang with people and connect.
Are you a big like chat in the grocery store with the guy behind you in line kind of guy?
Yeah, that's just like a Midwest thing too. We don't ever shut the hell up. Yeah, you can't stop us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like that's part personality, part just like the Midwest thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I noticed too, like, have you ever read that Hathaway McConaughey book, like the Green Light book?
No. Is it relatively new?
Relatively, yeah. It's like a couple years ago.
Yeah, I remember when it came out, but I never got to it.
It's pretty cool. Like he journaled like all of his life, and so he took like basically like his like a summary of like his findings, what he's learned about the world, about life from his journals, and just kind of summarize it in a really great book. And it's cool because like he scanned like some pages of his journals, and so every now and like every chapter or whatever, you'll see some like real scans of like word he wrote. It's just put together really well. But it's called Green Light, I'm pretty sure. And the reason why is because he kind of has his life separated out. Like when he looks back through his past, he kind of has this life separated out in times where it was like red light or green light. Basically, like, was he green light? It's like, was he flowing and things were coming to him and he was happy and he was living true to himself? Or was it like a red light phase where things were kind of caught up and he was trying to find himself, fix something, or was stuck? And so for me, like you talked about, like talking at the grocery store, I always kind of notice like I'm going to do that more if I'm flowing and I'm happy and I feel at ease with myself and confident. And like that's when I'm in my green light, is when I'm talking to everybody and I'm asking them how they're doing, smiling more, And so that's kind of a cue for me. If I'm in like a red light phase, I am more just like head down, not really curious about other people, annoyed, those kind of more feelings. So yeah, so I like it to be obviously the green light phase.
Can the direction of causality go both ways, where like if you feel yourself kind of stuck in a red light phase, can you start chatting at the grocery store and making conversations to kind of like shock yourself back into a green light phase, or is it more like the emotions come and then the way you interact in the world is dependent on that? Is it just the one direction?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. As within, so without. So like, I think that goes reverse too. Like everything outside of you is also inside you. I think we're part of something really big, and so you can start from the outside and work your way in. I think maybe there's some times where you do need to do that. Maybe that's like we talk about like fitness. Like I think fitness is an example of that, where you don't necessarily go to the gym because you're in a good mood, right? Like I'm not working out because I'm already doing good and healthy. I'm going to work out so that I then feel that way inside, And that's kind of a hack, like you're like hacking how you want to feel. So yeah, it probably could work. Like I want to be in a green light mood. I want to be social, so I'm just gonna like kind of force my way through a few interactions, kind of kickstart that.
Yeah, it's the example I talk about with clients a lot is like the correlation between grip strength and longevity. They did a study a while back, and of all the different strength measures, grip strength was the number one correlate with longevity.
Really?
Yeah, which
Like life longevity?
yeah, like
Just
lifespan. Which I always thought was interesting. I would have personally guessed like squat strength, which is, you know, or core strength or something like that. But if you think about it, it makes sense. You know, like the better your grip strength is, the more you can like open the doorknobs, you can open the pickle jars, you can just sort of do the things in life that you have to. You know, we're creatures that use our hands a lot. But
yeah,
what I found is interesting is that you can really, if you're, let's say you're weak, you're frail, you don't have great grip strength, you can build your grip strength, and it's like initially when they did the study, the direction of causality wasn't clear, where they weren't sure if like people who live a long time have good grip strength, or the people who have good grip strength live a long time, right?
Yeah, right.
But it turns out like it doesn't really matter. It's both. If you don't have great grip strength, you're getting older, you're getting frail, you can build up your grip strength, and that'll increase your lifespan, which I always thought was cool, because you'll just be able to do more stuff. You'll be able to open those pickle jars. You'll be able to, you know, play the piano, pick up the pen, and write whatever you like to do.
Well, I can imagine, like, you know, if you can't just do daily activities, I can imagine what kind of messaging you're telling yourself at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can imagine what kind of thoughts you might have when you can't just open a doorknob or something really basic. Like, you're probably thinking, shit, like, worthless. Can't even leave the house. Can't be safe by myself, you know. And I would think all that messaging is probably just bad for your health, you know. So
yeah,
I can see how that would just lead to like deterioration.
Yeah, and I think what you're kind of getting at too is like the correlation between mental and physical health. And I think that's the same kind of thing too. Like if you've got poor mental health, it's unlikely you're going to have great physical health. If you've got great physical health, it's unlikely you're going to have poor mental health. But if you're lacking in one of those areas, you can focus on improving that, and most likely you'll respond by improving in the other area as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, it'd be cool to be aware of like what things are like the things you can hack and engineer, and what things are just maybe cues. Like, I think like fitness you can hack and engineer because it's just so tangible. Like, this is my grip strength. Let me increase it. You know, it's like, whereas like maybe the person just didn't want to talk to me on the register. You know, it's not as tangible to like increase. Like, oh, I talked to 3 people this week. I'm going to talk to 6 registered people, you know, or cashiers. And I think also I was going to say with like the book, like McConaughey's cue was he would wink more. He talked about that several times.
It's funny.
So like when he's winking at people, he's like green light. But see, I don't know to your point. Like, so if he's in a bad mood, or something's going on in his life, is he just going to go around winking at everybody and thinking everything's going to change? I don't know. Maybe some things are more just a cue than like a hackable.
Yeah.
idea.
That's funny. That checks out with just
Yeah, you can just picture him winking for sure.
Yeah.
That's a good book.
Yeah, I'll check it out for sure, and I'll link it. I always link any books that come up below in the description for everywhere this gets posted.
Yeah, I've only read like 12 books too, so I'm glad I had the opportunity to bring one of them
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, how can people find your candles? Where are they online? Where are they on social media?
Yeah, Instagram. It's gonna be the biggest thing. I'm just gonna have people DM me for now. I'm just gonna post cool videos, try to entertain people throughout my process, and otherwise locally, come to Springfield, Oregon. Go to there's a store called Main Street Goods that I'm at right now, but once I get a little more inventory, I'm gonna get around Eugene and maybe even expand out to Portland and just get inventory out locally at stores too. So
Awesome. So again, I'll put a link to that one in the description below. But that's Flow State Candle on Instagram. What's the handle? Flow State Candle Company.
Flow State Candle Co.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on. This is a cool conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Right on, brother.